yards. Wow. Gets a stick with some of the boards. Keeps it deep. He's got Alcock. One-timer scores. Cody Alcock with the overtime winner.
Back to the defenseman. Quick shot. Kingston rebound. Oh, what a save by Blotkoff.
Jenkins. Kuzawinski. Shot scores. 3-2 Fronts.
Well, the same dynamic duo that did it in the first period have done it here in the second period. Kuzawinski and Jenkins.
And that will do it for the final game of the Frontenacs 2011-2012 season. A 5-1 loss to the Sudbury Wolves.
As the players come back and congratulate.
It's always like, trade this older player who wasn't working out for that older player who wasn't working out, and with his old team and try to build a team that way. And that's really not a formula for success in junior hockey, because you need to build, you need players to grow up together. And that was what you really saw that was different this year with the Kingston Frontenacs.
There seemed to be no structure with the Kingston Frontenacs before. It seemed to be some older guys, some younger guys, but they were never really on a true rebuild.
Look, really over the last 20 years, really what the Frontenacs have generally done is late in the season towards the trading deadline, they've picked up some veteran players to try to make a playoff run. That has never worked, and they've tried that recipe over and over again. I think the big difference is what they've done this time is really probably for the first time in at least a couple of decades, they've actually completely done a rebuild, bringing in young players, bringing in new faces, and trying to put the pieces in place that ultimately could result in a long playoff run or perhaps a championship team in 3 or 4 years down the road.
We've seen it with certain franchises here in the OHL. Windsor, when Warren Reichel and Bob Bugner took over that organization, I mean, they were in the same boat and trying to change the culture, trying to get some young players in place. And Kingston right now in a situation where I think if they look at the Windsor model and some of the other teams around the CHL, the blueprint is there to be successful, and I think right now they're going in the right direction.
Doug Gilmore has been given the reins for the hockey club. All decisions, anything to do with the on ice, anything to do with the hockey club, will now officially go through him.
Head coach
Doug Gilmore took over as the general manager. Todd Gill took over as the head coach. They sat down and decided that they were going to start from scratch with the blueprint and build the team up in a way that has never been done before with this organization.
I didn't know what to expect this year with the Kingston Frontenacs when they said they were going to rebuild. And now they're retooling, and they certainly did. At the start of the season, a lot of the old guard were let go or traded off, so that, they had over 20 plus trades going on for the season. So when they said they were going to rebuild, they rebuilt. So, a lot of us had said it's time to rebuild, and they finally did it.
The blueprint, when we sat down with the ownership, sat down with the coaching staff meaning Darren Kiley too, he's my assistant general manager, and obviously all my scouts. And this is the way we were going. This is the reason why we did this.
I think back in the summer, when Doug Gilmore took over, we had some pretty good meetings and decided that it was time for a change in the philosophy in terms of could we have made the playoffs this year? Probably, if we had kept some of the older players and traded away draft picks and added that way, but we felt it was time to try and recoup some of those draft picks.
With a shot, scores! Braden Blythe's first goal, and it puts the Fronts up 1-0.
We lost a lot of players last year that I did deal. The reason for that is because we wanted to load up on our draft picks. In the past, you know, we felt that we didn't have a third round here, fourth round here, fifth round here, whatever it might be. So unfortunately, I had to sell some players that were going to be a big part of this hockey club, but in reality, would have been only with us for 1 year. So now we're pretty much loaded back up with all our picks. We're missing a second round the following year. Again, that's something that we'll be looking at the whole time, hopefully to get that back, and that was part of the Ryan Spooner deal.
When Doug took over, we were certainly missing a lot of draft picks, and we had to get those back in our mind so that we could move forward in the years to come, so that when it's time to maybe go out and buy that piece that we may be missing or weren't able to attain through the draft, we're going to have those picks without really putting the organization in a hole.
In previous years, it was just trying to interchange a couple of parts, trade one veteran player for another veteran player, and really finally, for the first time in recent memory, they really have taken the route of doing a complete rebuild, which for most teams is the way you ultimately wind up winning a championship.
Well, this year was probably the first time in a good while when the Frontenacs really committed to actually rebuilding in the right way, you know, tearing it down and starting up again after years of sort of always looking for the sort of the patchwork solution just to try to eke out, you know, a playoff berth towards the, you know, the bottom of the, you know, standings.
Tied up, back in shot, scores! Bill Jenkins waits out the opposition.
I don't want to be here in 3-4 years and say, okay, we've got to take a step backwards. That's not what we're doing. We're trying to maintain this year after year after year. And, you know, it's unfortunate sometimes when you lose a player to the NHL. It's great for them, but it's tough on the team. But that's part of this program, this development program that we're all a part of. So I really want to see all these kids have that opportunity if they can to play. And again, we're just going to put piece by piece each and every year. And again, we don't want to be I don't like rebuilding, I call it retooling. And I don't want to do that every year. We're going to continue building this with, again, small pieces at a time, but you're going to see a big difference.
Unfortunately, you know, we had to go through this to get to where we want to get to, and where we want to get to is to bring this organization to be a solid team, not just for 1 year and try and win one playoff round, and you know, that's not the ultimate goal. The ultimate goal is to be a franchise that people are proud of, that can succeed each year, not just for one kick at the can. Doug Gilmour is the one that's changed the culture in terms of having a plan in place, in terms of what's expected, not expected, right from school to curfews to how you conduct yourself in hotels, to buses, to around the arena. So it all starts with Doug Gilmour right at the top.
Kingston seems to have a new kind of spirit around the team. With Todd Gill and with Doug Gilmour and the kind of remaking of the roster of the team, and had a nice interview with Todd a little while ago, and you got a sense that he's got them playing the way he wants them. That doesn't mean they're winning every game, but they're heading in the right direction.
But I have seen a significant difference in player attitudes towards this organization, towards the fans. That's not to say in the past that they haven't respected our fans or our city or the organization, but I do see a difference in the culture of this year's team and moving forward. I know I had a good chat with Todd Gill last summer, and he said that was his #1 priority, was to change the culture of this hockey club.
The thing that you saw with Kingston this year, they were a team. on the ice. They were pulling for each other. A lot of young guys coming together and realizing that they are going to be the core of something very special for a number of years to come. And what Kingston has done, I mean, they made so many changes, they had to do it. You're bringing in a new coach, you might just as well start with his culture, his way of doing things, his rules, his expectations, and you do that with a fresh team. Now it's integrated in them, and they're going to bring that in the future as well.
Todd Gill very animated behind the bench, letting his guys know exactly what he expects.
I think what Coach Gill has done has been create an actual team here in Kingston. We've had a collection of good players in previous years, but I don't think we've ever had a good team, at least not in recent memory. This year the guys really seem to care for one another, stand up for one another. Don't seem to be any prima donnas on the team. They're all working hard.
And that will do it for the first period. Well, hang on. Cole came right off the bench and came straight at Petgrave, and at the end just went straight into Petgrave and took him into the board. Now someone's throwing punches in there. Bailey's coming over as well to settle someone down. Not sure Jacob Riley's going to get involved.
The team seems to be more of a team. The last couple of years it's been pretty cliquey with kind of little groups of players, and I think this year you definitely get more of a team feeling, and I think that's a bonus for the team.
Kujawiński with him. Shot towards the goal. Kujawiński scores! Frontenacs are on a roll tonight, to say the least.
You definitely see a change in the attitude and the vibe around the team. Last year, a team with incredible talent and no chemistry, and the thing just disintegrated. This year, you know, you can tell that these kids have a lot of character, have a lot of chemistry together, and that it's a good group, it's a good working group. You know, every group's going to have some problems. That's hockey, that's sport. It happens in every sport. But, you know, for the most part, you can tell that these kids are a pretty close unit, and I think that's very important at this age, at this level.
Finds Steele. Top scores! Warren Steele. Not sure if it was tipped, but Warren Steele lets a rocket loose from the...
We've had our ups and downs, but I feel like we've really come together as a team since the deadline, and we've got a really young group of guys, and it's looking really good for next year.
Let feed to Morbeck. He's the line again. Morbeck blocking in. Good Branson. Gets the puck shot. Scores!
It's a hard-working team. We're, you know, we play our hearts out every game. And, you know, it's definitely a changing team here. You know, there's definitely, you know, it's a team in a revolution. We're starting to change our ways. And, you know, you can definitely tell by this year.
Great attitude. They seem to want to play for the fans and for the team, as opposed to playing as an individual.
We've got no cancers on this team, and it's just nice to be with everyone, and we're a winning team. Like, just a winning attitude. We've got no cancer there, and everyone wants this team to succeed.
Centering feed. Shot call. Scores! Bronx get on the board with a power play goal. It's 2-1.
I notice a positive attitude among the kids. They seem to be a team as opposed to individuals.
The main thing is just, you know, having an opportunity and having fun. You know, we're a pretty close team, so, you know, when we win, it's a big deal for us, and, you know, we have a lot of fun in the room when we do.
Comfortable bus ride home on the power of a 4-3 victory over the Ottawa 67s here at the J. Benson Cartage Center.
Definitely a positive attitude towards the players. They look like they're happy to be here in Kingston on the Frontenacs, and they never give up. There was only a few games this year that I've noticed anybody really getting down. I've been a season ticket holder for 29 years, and this has been a very positive season.
Good play, nice hit by the Fronts. Number 27, Jean Dupuis. Loose puck picked up in front, one-timer scores! What a play by the Fronts! Physical play, and they're on the board.
that sends a message that's going to go through the Ontario Hockey League, not to mention the lower ranks for people who are going to be drafted in the next little while. So people, when they come into Kingston, they're going to know that it's an all-for-one, one-for-all sort of team.
And the Kingston Frontenacs are going to leave town with 2 points tonight, a 5-4 victory over the Peterborough Peaks.
The biggest thing is there seems to be a change in the style that they're playing. They're a high-tempo team, it seems. They're a good young team. They've played the Petes very well this year. They've battled the Petes every time I've seen them play here in Peterborough, and it just seems to be a good core of young players there. They may have got rid of some, I don't want to call them bad apples, but it just seems to be a different bunch this year. And, you know, Todd Gill and Darren Kiley and Doug Gilmore have, I think, the core guys that they can call their own now. And it's their team, and it's their team to go forward with.
Moves it over, backdoor feed, shot, they score. The Frontenacs have tied this game at 2. Deuces are wild in the second. On a nice setup, the second goal of the night by Ryan Kuczynski.
Let's see why he was sought after by Doug Gilmore, the 4th overall pick in last year's midget draft.
Keeps it deep. Alcock in front, shot, scores! Oh, hat-trick goal! All 3 highlight variety for Cody Alcock. What a pull at short side.
McDavid last night at the OHL banquet was voted the GTHL Prospect of the Year. Here's a guy that's a year younger than everyone in this age group. It didn't matter this year in the GTHL. He dominated in the Mississauga Rebels in the city final. Here's a guy that took control. They've got a lot of offensive power on this Toronto Marlies team. That was the goal that got them the regular season championship. This is the one that won them out in the playoffs. Connor McDavid, the real deal, and hard to believe he's a year younger than everyone else.
Third period as the Ice Dogs salute their fans. The final score, Niagara 9, Kingston 3. We're back to wrap after this on the OHL tonight on TV Cogeco.
Doug was smart enough to take a step back, and he knew how important the draft was going to be this season. And that gave him an opportunity to get into the rinks and see these minor midget age kids.
Puck comes to McCann. It's a 3-on-3 opportunity. McCann cuts inside. Makes a pass, shot, scores! What a goal by Van Dusen!
Van Dusen with the great finish, and we talked about the great play of Jared McCann. The scouts call him a playmaker. I tell you right now, you gotta respect his shooting ability, his passing ability, but what about his speed?
My duties as a general manager is obviously going out to watch all the kids in the draft, especially where we're going to be picking. We're very fortunate this year to pick 2nd overall and 9th. Again, that's where we're on the road a lot, doing our homework.
Souvenir for one of the many fans here.
Well, Roland McEwen this week, I call him the general because he's so good at running the defense court for the Marlies. He's taken a lot of rushes this week, and I know a lot of people are saying, well, he doesn't really need to do this. He's got some great forwards out there. But if they shut down the outlet passes, you'll see 20 Blues say, you know what, I can skate up the ice here, and if no one wants to take me out, I'll get a shot on goal.
The biggest thing that Doug did, that was the first thing that he did, was revamp our scouting staff. We have young guys in Jeff McKercher, you know, Maleko, Van Loos, and all these guys that used to play in the league are now our scouts, and they're out there with great enthusiasm. They know the game, they know the league, what it takes to be a character player, and that's what we're looking for.
I brought in some new scouts that are very dedicated to the role, and obviously they have a passion for it, and that's what we need.
I look forward, obviously, to the draft. We have, you know, a lot of quality picks this year. Doug revamped the scouting staff, and they've been out working hard. Doug's been out looking at a lot of kids. I feel if we can, obviously we got the 2nd and 9th pick, get 2 very quality kids that will come in and have a bit of an impact right off the hop. We can add that bit of talent to the talent we already have and make us a stronger club.
From our standpoint, from management, coaches, we and our scouting staff, who have done a tremendous job this year, we have to nail that draft first and foremost.
Instead of the pass, big hit along the end boards. Wow!
Coming into this draft, there's about 3 players I'm looking into right now as that first pick. Obviously, Erie's in front of us, so we kind of got to wait off to see what they do. The 9th pick, again, we're going to have a good player. We go into the 2nd round. We pick 1st and 2nd in the 2nd round. So there's 4 guys that we're expecting to come in and have a huge impact next year. This is a deep draft this year, so this worked to our favor. And again, if we pick up a goalie, whether it's 3rd, 4th, I'm not sure yet what, as we go over our meetings in the near future here, but again, we're going to get every position filled.
A lot of good young talent, but we've got to see what comes out of the draft, and this is probably the most important draft since this franchise came into the league in 1973.
The most exciting thing for me about the Kingston Frontenacs, they got 4 draft picks coming up on April the 7th in the top 22-23, and that to me is a franchise-defining moment.
Smooth passing of Robert Battery set up Hargrave to open up the scoring for them. And then we talked about the big guy, Damian Board in front of the net. Look at him try to distribute the puck. He comes off the defenseman. Shin pad makes it a 2-2 game.
Kingston's got an embarrassment of riches right now. And that's great. I mean, they've had to pay the price to get there, but now they're going to be able to reap the reward from it. The scouting staff, no doubt, has been out there, and they know who they want. They're in a very good position.
Now that we have some draft picks in our back pocket, it's vital that we utilize those picks and really take a real big step forward next year.
They can't really go wrong with the first couple of picks. I mean, this is a deep draft. There are a few holes to be filled, and there's no question that there's issues on defense and there's issues on offense. We had a 100+ goal differential for goals for and goals against. So what do you look at? Our top goal scorer was 70th in the league, but a lot of our defensive guys were huge minuses.
See Moffat take a swing and a miss at the puck.
So I would think you'd probably want to build from the back end out. Somebody like McEwen. We need a quarterback on the power plays. And I think McEwen would be a great addition to that. Having said that, if they pick Hosang, you got an offensive player, so they really can't go wrong with the pick. I just hope that they pick a kid that has the attitude that they want to play here, because that's a huge part.
With McEwen cycling with the puck. Over to the left wing, Sam Bennett. Addison follows up. Long pass. There's a shot, they score! Roland McEwen with a 20-foot snapshot right into the corner of the net.
I have passion for it. It's been my life, and I want to continue.
So the experience is one of the biggest attributes I have.
Well, I think what you see is what you get.